In the heart of Liverpool stands Croxteth Hall, a grand estate steeped in history and shadowed by tragedy. Over the centuries, many have walked its halls, some left, some never did. But tonight, we're not just talking about the dead, we're talking about those they won't let leave. This is the story of one cleaning lady's harrowing encounter with a spirit that followed her home, and the sinister secret buried beneath the grounds of Croxteth Hall. It was 1998. Sandra had been working as a cleaner at Croxteth Hall for almost a year. The hours were long, the pay was low, but the halls were beautiful, majestic even. But as the days grew darker and the nights grew longer, Sandra started noticing things she couldn't explain. It began with small things, a door swinging open with no wind, books falling from shelves in the library, the faint scent of damp earth that seemed to linger no matter how many times she cleaned. But the true horror started the night she heard the sobbing. One cold November night, Sandra was mopping the library floor. Everyone else had gone home. The only sound was the soft swish of her mop against the wooden boards. But then she heard it. A man's sobbing, deep and mournful, echoed through the room, as if coming from behind the walls. Sandra stopped. Heart was hammering in her chest. She called out, but there was no answer. The room was empty, but the sobbing continued. It grew louder, closer, until it felt as if something was right behind her. When she spun around, there was no one there. Then something moved in her peripheral vision. As she turned around, then she saw him. He was dressed in clothing from another era, an ornate waistcoat with gold buttons, dark breeches, and a white linen shirt stained with mud. His hair was dark and dishevelled, hanging in damp curls around his face. But it was his eyes that haunted Sandra, the most dark, sunken and hollow, as if they had seen unspeakable sorrow. In his hand he clutched something tight. A gold ring glinted in the candlelight. The man raised his head, his eyes locking onto Sandra's. His lips move, but no sound comes out. Yet in her mind, she hears the words clearly. Sandra stumbled back, gasping, shocked, and when she looked again, he'd gone. The room is empty, but the scent of damp lingered in the air. Sandra tried to forget about it, but whatever was haunting Croxteth Hall had followed her home. It started as faint whispers, her name being called in the dead of night. Then the scent of damp earth began to fill her home. And then came the dreams. Sandra tossing and turning in bed, drenched in sweat. Quick flashes of the crying man appear intermittently. His eyes lock onto the viewer, his lips mouthing the words. In her dreams, the man stood at the foot of her bed, his dark eyes fixed on her, his face drawn and pale. He clutched the ring in his fist, his fingers trembling, and each time he said the same thing.
Find the ring buried beneath the old yew tree. Bring it back to me.
Sandra was unraveling. Her friends noticed the dark circles under her eyes, the way she jumped at every little sound. Desperate for answers, they convinced her to visit a local medium, Iris, a woman known for her uncanny predictions. Iris whispered, her eyes clouding over.
A man. His clothes, old-fashioned from another time. Mud-stained, grieving. He's holding a ring. A gold ring engraved with the words, "To my darling wife."
Sandra's heart stopped. How could Iris know? How could she have seen the man and the ring? Iris, leaning in close.
He needs you to find it. It's buried beneath a tree. You'll know it by the heart carved into the bark. Bring it back to where he died. Only then will he rest.
Sandra knew she had to do this, and she also knew the exact tree. She knew it was the only way to bring peace to her own life and bring things back to normal. Sandra, shaking and exhausted, snuck into the grounds of Croxteth Hall. The estate was silent. She made her way to the old yew tree. There, barely visible in the morning light, was the heart carved into the bark. Worn by time, its edges were rough and worn down, but the outline was unmistakable. Sandra stood in front of the tree and whispered,
"Please, if I do this, let me sleep. I just want peace. I want things to go back to the way they were, just normal."
As she muttered them words, an icy blast of cold wind brushed right through the trees. As if to confirm her request, she dug until her hands bled. Just when she was ready to give up, her shovel hit something solid, a small wooden box, rotting and damp. Inside was a gold ring, tarnished and cold. The inscription was still legible. It read, "To my darling wife." Sandra collapsed to her knees, staring at the ring in disbelief. Sandra couldn't believe it. Iris had been right. The man was real, the ring was real, and now Sandra had to bring it back. The ring was heavy, heavier than it should have been. It felt ice cold, as if it had just been pulled from the grave. And as Sandra held it up to the weak morning light, she could swear she heard the faintest whisper drifting through the trees.
Thank you.
Sandra jerked her head up, eyes wide. The wind rustled the leaves. The yew tree creaked as if under groaning the weight of centuries of secrets. Sandra returned to the library. The air was frigid, colder than it should have been. Shadows danced across the walls, and the scent of damp earth was overwhelming. She stepped forward, her hands trembling, and placed the ring on the windowsill where she had first seen the man standing. The room fell silent, and there he was, standing by the window, his dark eyes fixed on the ring. The man stared at Sandra, tears streaked down his hollow cheeks, as he whispered,
Thank you.
The ring shimmered, and then it was gone, and so was he. Sandra never spoke about the haunting again. She quit her job, moved away, and tried to forget. But some things are not so easily forgotten, because if you visit Croxteth Hall today, they say the scent of damp earth still lingers near the old yew tree, and if you listen closely in the library, You might still hear the soft, mournful sobbing of a man who couldn't bear to leave behind the one thing he loved the most, a ring engraved with the words, "To my darling." So next time you're there, keep your eyes open, and if you see a tree marked with a heart, tread carefully. You might just uncover something that never should have been found. So, what do you think? Was it the ring that bound him to Croxteth Hall? Or was it the grief that kept him lingering in the shadows? Some secrets are buried for a reason, and some spirits refuse to rest until they're uncovered. If you like this story and want to hear more eerie encounters from Liverpool's darkest corners, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like, share and comment below.